Hello, everyone. My name is Paul and I'm a product manager here at Inspiring Vacations. Today, I'm really excited to talk to you about our range of tours to Canada and Alaska. Now, this is by far one of the most impressive destinations in the world. As you can see just from this image here, it is such a breathtaking place to visit. Whether it's your first time or you're a returning traveler, there is something for everyone in this region. And today I'm going to talk to you about a couple of our tours to this beautiful destination and also a couple of the offers that we have for you today at our event. All right. So let's start off in Western Canada. Now, this 16-day incredible Canada and Alaska tour is the best way to see Canada if you're a first-time traveler. Starting in Calgary, you'll have a night there in the capital of Alberta, and then we'll head into Banff National Park. So we base ourselves in Canmore, which is a fantastic spot to base ourselves to explore the Rockies and all that Banff National Park has to offer. From here, we'll head into Kamloops in the Okanagan region for a night before heading to Whistler, which is obviously one of the most famous ski destinations in the world. Host to the 2010 Olympic Winter Games. There is something for everyone in Whistler, fantastic dining, surrounded by beautiful mountain ranges before we head to Vancouver for 3 nights. Now, having spent a few years in Canada, Vancouver is definitely one of my favorite cities in the world. It is such a multicultural city. It's very cosmopolitan. The dining is phenomenal, excellent shopping, and its setting on the harbour and surrounded by mountains is just something to behold. So a really beautiful place to spend a few nights before boarding, of course, your inside passage cruise up to Alaska. No trip to Canada is complete without tacking on this cruise. It is such a beautiful way to travel. The sheltered waters of the inside passage, mean you're going to have a nice, calm journey. And just some of the ports and the natural wonders that you're going to see are phenomenal. So we'll talk a little bit more detail about that shortly. Moving across, we've also got our 16-day incredible Rocky Mountaineer and Alaska tour. So this tour is very similar to the incredible Canada trip, except we've included the Rocky Mountaineer train journey. Now, this is by far one of the world's greatest train journeys. And I'm sure a lot of you here today are keen to get onto this train journey either next year or the year after. Now, there's a couple of service levels, which I'm sure the Rocky Mountaineer team will speak to you in a bit more detail about, but it is a fantastic way to travel before boarding your inside passage cruise. Heading over to Eastern Canada, we've got the 23-day Eastern Canada, the Rockies and Alaska. Now, this is for all of you who want to see all of Canada. You know, this is the quintessential journey for you if you want to see the East and the West and Alaska. We have 3 nights in Toronto, the capital of Ontario and the biggest city in Canada. Then we head up to Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. So we explore the provincial buildings and the Parliament Hill area before heading deep into French Canada. Now, this is basically like stepping back in time. You'll feel like you're in a little village in Europe, walking through the cobbled streets of Quebec City. It is so stunning. Before we head to Montreal, which is the largest French-speaking city outside of Paris. So it's a really unique part of the world to explore. And then we fly you over to Calgary, where you'll join the 16-day incredible Canada and Alaska tour, and then finishing off up in Alaska. Over to the 15-day Eastern Canada and New England cruise. Now, this is for those of you who may have been to Western Canada already and wanting to explore the eastern side in a little bit more detail. So we see Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec City, and then you'll board a cruise from Montreal up through Eastern Canada and then finishing in Boston. And so you'll see some of those ports in New England in the northeastern United States. That's with Holland America. So that's a really beautiful cruise to take. It's a smaller sort of ship and you get into some of these little fishing villages. It's a really beautiful, beautiful cruise, and it's a fantastic way to see this part of the world. Now, obviously, Canada has some incredible sightseeing to witness. Now, the photo on the left here is Banff. This is one of the quintessential images of Canada and the Rockies. This is Banff Avenue here, framed by the imposing mountains, and it is such a great place to spend a few days all of our tours to Western Canada will include a visit to Banff, where you get to spend time shopping, and we'll do some touring around the region. So it's such a stunning part of the world. And it is obviously a major highlight on any trip to Canada. Over to Vancouver here, as you can see by this image, it is just such a picturesque setting. It's on the harbour, so a lot of people compare it to Sydney, but you know, with those mountains around, it is such a beautiful part of the world. And it's also just, there's so much to do in Vancouver itself. So all of our tours have at least 3 nights there, where you'll get to spend time walking around. It's very easy to navigate on your own. And there's so many restaurants, there's so much shopping, there's so much history there in little areas like Gastown. So it is a really great place to visit. And it's a very safe and multicultural city, framed by those mountains. Now, in the Rockies, the Icefields Parkway here on the left is definitely one of the most picturesque drives in the world. All of our tours to Western Canada will include at least part of the Icefields Parkway. And as you can see just from this photo here, you're traveling through these glacial valleys with huge soaring mountains on one side. You'll be traveling next to, you know, turquoise blue lakes and rivers, and it is just so beautiful. And it's a really good place to see some wildlife. So another part of Canada, why it draws so many visitors year in, year out, is the wildlife. So here you'll see bighorn sheep. They're abundant in the Rockies, but as well as the bighorn sheep, you'll have the chance to see grizzly bears, wolves, black bears, moose, and that's just to name a few. So you know, you'll certainly see some wildlife on your trip to Canada, and if you're lucky, you might see a grizzly or a moose. Now let's head up to Alaska. So this is one of the last frontiers in the world. It is so beautiful, so remote, very wild, and the Sawyer Glacier is included on all of our Western Canada itineraries with the Royal Caribbean cruise up to Alaska. So one of the most incredible experiences of my life, I was lucky enough to go up on one of these cruises, and witnessing these glaciers, you just don't understand the sheer scale of these glaciers until you're actually there. And if you're lucky, you might get to see big chunks of ice carving into the placid waters up there. And it is just so phenomenal. It's so loud. The scale of it is impressive. And, you know, some of these chunks of ice are larger than 10, 20-story buildings. So it really is an incredible experience to witness. And one of those things that you're going to talk to your friends about when you get home, because I know I certainly have, and I think they've heard enough about it by now. On the right here, you'll see Ketchikan. So this is an example of one of the little ports that all of the cruisers up to the Inside Passage visit. Now, Ketchikan is such a beautiful little town. You'll explore Creek Street that's pictured there. It's the salmon capital of the world, so a really good place for shore excursions around salmon, fishing. It's a good place to see bears, because during the salmon run of August and September, the bears all come out and try and catch those salmon. So there's plenty of shore excursions to do. That's just a couple of the ports that we'll visit, but there's so many more things to see during the Alaska Inside Passage cruise. Now, heading over to Eastern Canada, no trip is complete without a visit to Niagara Falls. So over in the West, there is such diverse natural attractions, but the same goes for the East. Niagara Falls is definitely one of the most iconic waterfalls in the world, and all of our tours to Eastern Canada will include a visit there. Now, you'll have the chance to board the Maid of the Mist, or the Voyage to the Falls, which is the boat ride that goes up to the Niagara Falls. And you know, you put your poncho on and you feel the sheer power of these falls. It is a fantastic experience, and one of those bucket list things that you have to do once in your life. Now, as I mentioned before, Quebec City and French Canada, it's like you're stepping back in time. You're going to a little village in Europe. As you can see pictured here, little narrow streets, cobblestones, stone architecture, and it's just got such a fascinating history, which you'll learn about from our tour director, who will be with you on your trip to Eastern Canada. Now, I just want to talk about some of the amazing inclusions that you'll receive by booking one of the trips that we've highlighted with Inspiring Vacations. So obviously all of the incredible sightseeing that I just mentioned, and that's just to name a few. There is so much to see and do in Canada and Alaska. I could speak about it all day if I had the time, but unfortunately I don't. So if you do want a bit more information, feel free to go and speak to our reservations team or ask questions at the end of this session about some of the things that you can see and do over in Canada and Alaska. All of our tours are partially escorted, so there'll be some days where you're on your own, and a lot of the days you'll be with an expert tour director or a local guide. That's such a great way to learn about the destination and find out about the history and learn about the culture and just really immerse yourself in these places that you're visiting. We include quality, well-located 3-star hotels throughout Canada. So all of our hotels are hand-picked. The cruise ships are absolutely well appointed. So the accommodation is extremely comfortable, and we've done that so that you've got a really nice place to rest after a long day's touring, after a long day's sightseeing. All of our tours to Canada and Alaska include a cruise. So you've either got the choice in the west of the 7-night Alaska Inside Passage cruise, or in the east, we've also got the 7-night Holland America New England cruise. So both cruise journeys are iconic. They're both one of those things that you need to see and do at some point during your life. And, you know, I know luckily for me, I've gone on the Inside Passage cruise and I just can't wait to get back up there. And we've also got Rocky Mountaineer options available. So if you'd like to add Rocky Mountaineer to your Canada and Alaska tour, speak to our reservations team and we have an offer for you. Now, to thank you all for coming along today, we've put together some incredible offers that are only available for you today. So a trip to Canada or Alaska, we've got trips starting from $4,999 per person, twin share. So if you look around, you'll see a similar tour for around $6,000. So our tours always represent incredible value. And today we've got an offer of return airfares from Melbourne for only $499 per person. Now that is a spectacular deal. The flights alone are valued at almost $2,000. So we're just really excited to get you over to Canada and Alaska, and really, you know, happy to share these fantastic offers with you today. Now we've got departures from May to September 2022. It is selling out fast. Canada and Alaska is one of the most popular destinations in the world. So we highly recommend you book as soon as possible to avoid disappointment. Now, if you do have any questions about our Canada or Alaska tours or any of the inclusions that I mentioned, please feel free to ask questions now to our colleague. Thank you so much for joining me, and we can't wait to see you in Canada and Alaska. Thank you.